Hi, I'm Rob.
And I'm Rob.
And this is Ask Rob and Rob. Welcome to Ask Rob and Rob. It's the show where we answer your property questions. And the show, of course, starts with you. So we like to make it really simple for you to send your questions our way.
We do. Head over to propertyhub.net/ask. That's propertyhub.net/ask. There, you can leave us a message. You can call us and leave a voicemail if you prefer. Or if you want to write in with your question, we have our wonderful column in the Sunday Times each and every Sunday in the home section. So if you want to get your question in that way, you can as well. Let's listen to this question in from James.
Hi, Rob and Rob. I'm James from Hampshire, and I'm busy pulling together the best starting plots I can whilst catching up on your podcast, which have helped cement my dreams moving away from my architectural day job into property investment and development over a long-term future. But I need to get going as quickly as possible. However, with 4 kids and a student nurse wife, this will not come easily or quickly. I've currently got just 35k, and to increase this, it's likely to be at a rate between 5 and 10k per year. I will also have the option to raise another deposit when refinancing my home mortgages in 2026. I'm super keen to start and get any money working for me whilst I'm working full time, because ideally I want that first flat to be reasonably close to have any chance of knowing the area and visiting the site. I'm hoping for strong yields to get the next pot growing straight away, but obviously don't want to ignore capital growth. Southampton seems to be the better of the cities in the south for what it's got going for it and the potential yields, so I'm currently limited to the bottom end of the market. However, I am able to take on a fixed wrapper and add some value that way. I'm struggling to see the wood for the trees at the moment, so if I can put this into clear questions, what are your thoughts on, firstly, starting as quickly as possible, just get going, versus growing a larger deposit, or in other words, the bottom end of the market versus waiting for more premium? Secondly, is there anywhere in the south or south of the Midlands you think is worth looking into for this first property? Or thirdly, ditch the idea of the south altogether and see what I can do in the north. A massive thanks for any comments on this and for all your great content. All the best, James.
James, thank you for your question. There's a lot to this question. I want to get you focused on the most important things. First of all, well done with everything that you've got going on. 4 kids, hectic life, still pulling together that pot of cash. And you are now at a point, as you've identified, where you could start to look at the lower end of the property markets that you're looking at to possibly invest in. And the ability to add 5 to 10k is good. I love the detail you've given here. What really excites me is your ability to add to that in 2026. And I don't want to crush your dreams of starting right now. But my advice here would be to wait until 2026 to combine the two, because it will put you in a stronger place. Knowing that you've got this second lump of cash coming, I would rather go for 1 mid-price property than 2 cheap, because the overall value of those properties won't be that much different. So to state the obvious, you buy 2 cheap properties, 100k each, or you buy a mid one for 200k. The numbers can vary, but you get the idea. The overall asset amount will be the same, and the returns that you get, there won't be much difference as well at sort of that level of the market. It might be marginal, but nothing that's going to change your life. So my preference in this circumstance would be to wait and go for 1 mid-level property than 2 cheap ones. Now, if you told me that the money that you've got now is all you're ever going to have, that refinance wasn't happening, then yeah, get started would be my advice. And it might not be your dream property, and you might not look back in 10 years' time and go, wow, what an incredible investment that was. But at least you've got started and then the learning starts and you will make some money. But knowing that this refinance is coming, that's the time to have that discipline. And I'm sure you've got it. If you had the discipline to build that pot up while working and having a big family, well, then I'm sure you've got the discipline to hold on for that little bit longer. 2026 is not that far away, as scary as it sounds. We're pretty much halfway through 2025. So I would keep researching, put as much away as you can during that period, and then start to look to invest. So the next part of your question is where to invest and what areas should you look at? Now, I'm always reluctant, and Rob is as well, to go into the bottom of any market, because they are normally the areas that people don't want to live. It's the last choice. That's why they're the cheapest. And also that applies to tenants as well. People live there because it's the cheapest place, not the best place. So by lifting your budget up, hopefully you can move up the levels of where you invest in, but also the area you pick will make a big difference. So I'm going to give you some areas to look at based on your criteria of South Midlands, Northampton comes to mind. Great fundamentals, good train networks. Arguably not South Midlands, but very, very close. Rugby, again, super quick trains into London. Loads of employment in the area. Down the road from Northampton. They're two areas that I'd consider. Your budget will go a lot further there. And a bit of a wild card is Bedford. I had to think about whether I wanted to name Bedford or not, because there's a lot of hype around Bedford at the moment because of the proposed Universal theme park going in there. And property prices will be doing all sorts of crazy things at the moment because of that hype. So I'd be very careful, one, investing on the basis that that theme park's coming, because it might not, but also the hype around that market. What interests me more is the new railway that goes through Bedford that connects Oxford and Cambridge, and Bedford absolutely benefits from that. That's actually the stronger call to that market for me. And again, the market there is more accessible, but your safer plays are probably Northampton and Rugby, with, if you're curious, a look at Bedford. So there are some areas to look at. You can look at Southampton as well, but if it's me and I was investing, I'd probably go to those other areas first. Good luck.
God, there you go. A lot of people would charge you good money for that. You just got it here on Ask Rob and Rob for free. What a great answer. Let's move on to our next question now from Kevin.
Hi, Rob and Rob. This is Kevin here. I've been listening to your podcast for many years, and I have advised my friends and colleagues to listen to your podcast. And on the back of this, they have actually invested in other properties. My question today is with regards to setting up a limited company for my properties, full stop. I currently have 5 properties that I own outright, but I have seen someone on YouTube that suggested that there is a way of transferring the properties to an LLC, and after 3 years, we can then transfer it to the limited company without paying capital gains tax. I'm just wondering whether this is legal and would value advice, because long term, I would want to remortgage the properties to buy further properties under the limited company. Many thanks for advice and keep up the good work.
Kevin, thank you for your question and for spreading the good word about the property podcast. Really appreciate that. So moving properties to a company via a partnership to avoid capital gains tax is technically possible, but it will shock you to learn this, I'm sure. Not everything is as simple as it's made to sound on YouTube videos sometimes. So I won't go into the detail because I am not a tax expert, but the general gist of it is there is a relief for incorporating a partnership. It doesn't have to be an LLC either. It can be an unincorporated partnership, but there are multiple tests, and the key test is that it has to be a business rather than an investment. So that comes down to the size of your portfolio, the number of properties, how long you spend actively managing them, if you've got employees, if you've got maintenance people on your team, if you're advertising it. It has to be a proper active business. And there is one famous case that comes up all the time when somebody owned 10 flats personally, and that still didn't count as a business. So it's not just the number of properties, it's about the whole picture around it. But it is technically possible. And so if it's something that you want to do, it's something that does involve future planning, because you have to have this partnership stage first. It has to be structured as a proper partnership. You can't just say it was after the fact. And you need to be showing that it does meet these tests of being a proper business. So if it's something you want to do, speak to an accountant about it now and figure out what that looks like and what you need to be doing now if it's something that could work for you to start putting in place now to take advantage of later. But if that's something that's not going to work for you, then you said you wanted to buy further properties under the limited company. That's still an option that you could explore with your accountant as well, remortgaging the properties where they are and then lending those funds across to the company. Although granted, for tax reasons, that's not going to be as appealing as doing it within a company, if indeed you can, but it is a potential option. So Kevin, I appreciate that is not a cut and dried answer for you, but hopefully that's given you what you need to go away, look into this a bit more and start having some conversations.
Well, that's us done for another week. Thank you for listening. Hope you found that useful. You know what else will be useful? Tuning in on Thursday for the Property Podcast, because we got a great episode lined up for you there. And you can find us in the Sunday Times on Sunday. So until those wondrous events take place, take care, have fun. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.